How's it going, friends? Today's video, we're looking at literally one of my favorite neighborhoods in all of the Twin Cities. This is Highland Park, St. Paul. And when I think of Highland Park, St. Paul, I think of some of the most beautiful houses in all of the Twin Cities across quite a few different decades. I would say probably from the 20s to the 60s, maybe even some 70s in there. It's an absolutely stunning spot with one of the most convenient locations that you can get in the Twin Cities. I have a whole lot to talk about, but you gotta watch the rest of the video, so stick around and check it out. First of all, I love fall in the Twin Cities. This is a ginkgo tree that literally, I think, is dropping all of its leaves today. Second, my name is Jesse Lynch. I run the hardest working real estate team in the game. We're called To The Twin Cities. And you can check out our website, tothetwincities.com. But this YouTube channel, it's all about helping you find a place to call home, if that's what you're looking for, or helping you find the right buyer for your house. Relocations and absolutely epic presentations of a listing. That is what we do, and that's what we do better than anybody else. So if any of that appeals to you, then do me a favor, do yourself a favor, subscribe to this channel, click that little bell to get notified so you can see when videos like this get put out. And if you wouldn't mind, give this video a thumbs up, say something nice or helpful or funny, ask a question, anything like that in the comments. I would truly appreciate it. By the way, I checked out my analytics lately, and only a third of the people who watch these videos are subscribed. So if you're one of those people who are not subscribed, please help me out, help the channel out, and help other people who are looking for the same kind of information as you out by just giving the channel a subscribe. Would appreciate it very much. And as always, if you want to work with us, we would love to help. You can go to our website, tothetwincities.com. We have a contact form there that you can fill out in like 30 seconds or less, or you can just shoot us an email directly to info@tothetwincities.com. All good. Whatever you want to do, they lead to the same spot. So just do it and we'll get the show on the road for you. Right now, I am in such an awesome part of what we're touring today, Highland Park. Specifically, that little public-y park space is called McDonough Park, McDonough Park. And it's not much of a park, but this neighborhood is something special. This neighborhood is home to some of the coolest examples of mid-century modern, at least within the city proper. So definitely within Minneapolis or St. Paul proper, and probably the Twin Cities on the whole. Some of these houses kind of sit higher up. Like the name implies, Highland Park. Some of that is because it sits up high, and all down here is basically river valley. Fun fact, I don't think most people realize, there are marinas in Highland Park, within the boundaries of Highland Park, that give you access to the Mississippi River and the Minnesota River. That's pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna keep going. We're gonna keep talking about what it's all about living here. I've lived right next to here. My best friend lived here for a long time. I've spent a ton of time in Highland Park, and it is truly one of my favorite neighborhoods in the Twin Cities. Let's keep going.
What's up? It's Nick, it's Steve. We're back again, another beautiful fall day. Can't believe how lucky we've gotten doing this.
We've had some pristine weather.
Seriously.
A little bit of rain at night, but the days have been glorious.
I was talking about you and I shooting virtual tours.
Oh yeah.
Back out here, really nice. Now we are in Highland Park neighborhood of St. Paul.
Yes.
When I think of Highland Park, the thing that I first think of is it's kind of where the new stuff is in St. Paul, or the relatively new stuff anyway. You know, St. Paul is kind of known as being like the older part of the Twin Cities. You know, it's got the Capitol building, Summit Avenue. We talked about that in the Summit Avenue virtual tour. The longest stretch of Victorian era homes. But yeah, Highland Park, where the new stuff is, we're actually right across the street here from this huge new development that they're putting in where the Ford assembly plant used to be.
Yep, we're right off just to the south of Ford Parkway. They've taken all this space, I'm not sure of the exact acreage, but they're redeveloping it to condos, townhomes, a bunch of mixed-use commercial space as well. There's a skate park right when you drive in.
Yep.
It's quite lovely, and Steve and I are actually right on the Riverwalk here.
Yeah, Mississippi River right there.
Yep, right across from South Minneapolis. The VA is right over there, I believe, so it's a really nice area of the city. I was telling Steve, Highland Park is personally my favorite neighborhood in St. Paul. All right, so as far as the bounds of Highland Park itself, to the north, we've got the lovely McAllister Groveland, I think specifically Randolph Avenue.
Yep.
That's gonna be your northernmost border, which runs over to our eastern, kind of southeastern border. You've got 35E, and then down to our kind of southeast, you've got West 7th and then Shepherd Road, kind of the Mississippi River area. Check it out on the map, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then to the west, pretty much where Steve and I are. Mississippi River,
Yep.
the River Boulevard. It's not a huge neighborhood, but I don't know, it's got a lot to offer.
Absolutely, yeah. Very popular spot for people that we've helped. You know, I think
Yeah.
Mac Groveland and Highland, and you know, this is we are back in the lower triangle, what we refer to as the lower triangle of St. Paul.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, super popular area for people that we've helped, I think just anecdotally.
Yeah.
And just to give you a little more context of where it's situated kind of within the Twin Cities, we're about 15 minutes from downtown Minneapolis, about 10 minutes from downtown St. Paul, and it's just about 5 minutes or so from Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. Super close.
Hop,
close
skip,
to
and a
Fort-
jump.
Yeah, close to Fort Snelling. But yeah, I mean, very accessible. Accessibility is huge here.
Yep, one of my favorite things, I think, especially as it relates to getting to the southern and southwestern parts of the metro. A little bit easier over here. You can hop onto 62 or 494. There's a multitude of highways. 55 continues to run down into Immer Grove, that kind of area. So even the southeast metro. So I think, especially when you compare it to Mac Groveland, a little bit tougher to get out because you're limited to 94, or you have to drive all the way down Cleveland or one of those main veins to kind of get out of here.
For sure.
It's like South Minneapolis, same thing. When I'm
Yeah.
when I'm down there, I got to take Cedar to get out. So it's, I don't know, it's just easy from here,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Accessibility high. And so the population of Highland Park is 17,000. We're gonna jump right into schools. So it's serviced by St. Paul Public School District, which overall gets a B-, which we mentioned also. Same thing with the Summit Hill area of St. Paul, which, you know, not that surprising for, you know, the city.
Yeah, not bad.
But interestingly, Highland Park High School Public School receives an A. Other high schools in the area, or that service this area, Cretin-Durham High, private school, A+. The middle school and elementary school here, kind of on the lower end. I think the Highland Park Elementary was a C+.
Per niche.com.
Yeah, and the middle school is a B-. But they are kind of all located in the same area, correct?
Yeah, Highland Park Elementary, middle school, and high school are all pretty much right at the intersection of Snelling and Montreal. So from a convenience standpoint, awesome. If you're
Yeah.
someone who's looking to live and stay in the same school district with little to no friction, it's pretty convenient.
For sure. And like other areas of St. Paul, Minneapolis, there are charter schools that service the area. There's actually a Mandarin immersion school that receives an A-, which is a public magnet. You had some clients that were...
I did
looking
about
for
a
that,
year
right?
ago. It seems to be more of a draw, especially for the folks that we've been helping coming from some of the coastal areas. That's just, again, anecdotally, that's been my experience.
Pretty cool though, pretty cool that they offer that. St. Paul Academy and Summit School is a private school that gets an A+. And also in the Summit Hill video, we mentioned the Nova Classical Academy, which is a public charter that gets an A+. But again, we'll say it, shout out to Bradford. He's working on the schools channel. Much deeper dive into all things schools in the Twin Cities, so please check that out.
Coming soon.
Yeah,
Hard-working man right there.
right on.
All right, so let's talk housing stock.
Yes.
Steve and I are both kind of nerds for this stuff. But as far as the type of housing that you'll usually see down in the Highland Park area, it's gonna be a lot more of that mid-century style, kind of the late 40s up until even some 70s occasionally.
Yeah, a lot of 50s stuff, post-war. I think the median age of single family homes, I was looking this up, is 1948, which is like a vast difference from like an area like Summit Hill where like it's like I was looking that up as well, as like the early 1900s is the median age of the single family homes in the area. So just to kind of give you some context there.
Even in Mac Groveland, you've got more of the, you know, Craftsman Foursquare and some of these old, you don't
20s,
catch
30s homes in Mac Groveland, not here.
The supply is a lot newer down here. You'll see much more Rambler, story and a half, which isn't a huge thing in St. Paul at large.
Right.
Which, you know, some people that like, we have a lot of clients that talk about wanting something newer than 1950, and I think you're more prone to get that down in this area.
Absolutely. Like I mentioned at the top, it is kind of the area of St. Paul where like the newer stuff is, right? So that goes with like the developments like right across the way here that are brand new, and even just like the older homes that are newer than, you know, turn of the century or early 20s or 30s.
Right. I know specifically kind of over off Highland Parkway as well, there's quite a few Tudor style, which is more of like a 20s type vibe. That's about as old as it gets down here, but there is a decent variety of stuff down here, but as a whole, it's going to be newer 40s to late 50s.
For sure, for single family homes.
Yes.
And on that note, median sale price is $455, which is pretty close to being in line with the Twin Cities average, right around $400. Median sale price for the entire Twin Cities, so kind of right in there. And just like a little interesting bit of info, I was looking, I think over the last 3 years, the most expensive property that sold in Highland Park was like right around 1.8 million, which is high obviously, but not as high as some of the other areas of the Twin Cities.
Yeah, we were just in Summit Hill, Mansions, Kenwood, some of these areas just off the top.
For sure.
Also, another interesting data point that I think Steve and I were actually both a little bit surprised about. The rent to own ratio is 60-40 towards owning, but even still, I mean, Highland Park doesn't necessarily strike one that's familiar as a place that you'd suspect that. We think maybe that might be skewed a little bit by some of the universities nearby.
Could be.
St. Kate's is kind of to the north-ish side, or kind of in the heart of the neighborhood, I guess. So maybe that's it, but you can see behind us all the units they're building. So
yeah, mostly condos and townhomes there. We mentioned some kind of, you know, newer apartment style stuff above like the new Lunds, Byerly's, right off of Ford Parkway. This whole big development that they're working on, speaking of which, right across here. So at some point, I'm guessing all of that will be, you know, new construction.
It's pretty wild. I want to say it was like over 100 or a couple hundred acres, and a couple $100 million for this whole project, if not more. So.
For sure. Okay, so stay tuned, check out some B-roll. We're gonna find another cool spot and talk pros and cons. We are on Davern Street right now, still in Highland Park. Yeah, just talking pros and cons right now. I wanted to point out, we'll pass it here in a minute, but we were in Highland Park, so I figure we might as well shoot right here. But the coolest house that I saw in 2023, right on this street, we're about to pass it. Insanely cool architectural mid-century home. And we'll start right there with pros. In my opinion, some of the coolest housing stock in the Twin Cities can be found in Highland Park. If you like mid-century, definitely you know, a hot spot for that. The architectural mid-century, but also just kind of like, you know, cool 50s box homes, kind of like the one that I live in. You know, if you're not at the stage of life yet where you're, you know, into that, you know, 700 to 800,000 range, you can still get something cool.
Nice little story and a half, Rambler.
For sure, yeah.
There's some mid-century modest, that's what we call it.
No doubt.
Down here. And
but
then,
yeah,
like Steve said, show them this one.
This guy right here, coolest house I saw in 2023. But yeah,
Highland
so
Park,
the housing stock in general.
I would say Highland Park is kind of a little pocket of true mid-century, kind of like Golden Valley.
Yep.
And also, I want to say it's Fern Hill, kind of over by the 394 exchange.
That's where our listing was, yeah, in Fern Hill.
Yeah,
4209 Basswood.
some really awesome pockets with that Frank Lloyd Wright type cool architecture. Anyway,
absolutely. So housing stock in general, I think you can definitely find some amazing homes here. A lot of character. Also, public schools are pretty good private schools, if you have the resources, as an option, excellent private school options here in St. Paul, specifically Highland Park.
So a pro for me is going to be the beautiful outdoor spaces. You may have noticed in the background of the video here, just the beautiful tree-lined streets, sidewalks all throughout the neighborhood of Highland Park. There are some great outdoor spaces along the river to the south, off Shepherd, and then also on the west side where we started on the River Boulevard. But also one thing I'll add, one of my favorite municipal golf courses, Highland National, kind of over at the intersection of Snelling and Montreal, just to our north. Really beautiful municipal golf course. It's nice to get those in the city where, you know, you don't have to be a country club member to go and enjoy a nice round of golf if that's something that you're into.
Totally.
Also, I will say, I know that Theodore Wirth does this in Minneapolis, but a lot of times those golf courses will offer opportunities to go cross-country skiing, snowshoeing in the winter for those people that like to stay active during the winter months.
Great options. Yeah, for staying outside in winter if you can handle it. And then another pro for me, I think Highland Park is just a really great place. There, I mean, just tons of local restaurants, bars, you know, just like kind of, you know, smaller shops, non-chain stuff, you know, type places in Highland Park. Most of it's off of Cleveland Ford Parkway.
Yeah, the highest concentration, that's kind of the downtown area where most of the development is, or commercial. And I don't mean like big box commercial, although there is some of that. You've got, you know, there's Target and Chipotle over there, but they're more boutique feeling. That's just kind of the vibe of the neighborhood in general.
And then last pro for me, I think just the location, I think is great in the sense that you have easy accessibility to both cities, both downtowns, you know, South Minneapolis right across the river, airport super close. And we mentioned like the amazing homes, but it's also, I mean, if you're a first-time buyer, if you're, you know, a step-up buyer and you're not, you know, quite in that, like we were mentioning, the $800,000-$900,000 price range, there's still housing stock here. You know, median sales price $450. You know, we've helped several people move to Highland that, you know, kind of more closer to that entry-level price range than the upper level. So good for that as well.
I can add one more thing. There's a really good sense of community around here. We've seen a lot of people out chilling in the yards, putting up Halloween decor, stuff like that.
Trick-or-treatable neighborhoods.
Yeah, people love that,
as Jesse likes to say.
But it definitely is. And yeah, I think that's about it for pros. You got any cons, Steve? Okay, so a couple of cons regarding Highland Park. So with the homes specifically, I know that we talked about, you know, there being some newer inventory, but there are a fair amount of homes that are from kind of like the 1930s and 40s. I've noticed throughout my career that sometimes when you get into those, for one, they're not the biggest until you really get up into that. Steve was saying 800-900K, but I mean, really the 4-bed, 2-bath, you know, 2-car garage maybe with 2,500 square feet, you're definitely going to be up in that 650 plus. So
for sure.
To get more of like a 3-1 type vibe, you're going to be more close to that 455 number, 400 that we've been talking about. Floor plans on some of these older homes can be a little bit choppy and weird. I mean, it just kind of is what it is since things have progressed over time. The floor plans are more tailored to a modern lifestyle.
For sure, yeah, you're not gonna have some of the modern conveniences that some people, you know, are expecting in terms of, you know, bathroom en suites, walk-in closets, you know, finished basements where there's plenty of headroom. You know, you run into with older homes. And then a con for me, I mean, we mentioned the proximity to the airport, which is great for convenience if you travel a lot. Also can lead to some airport noise. I would say it's not quite as bad as, you know, parts of South Minneapolis that are directly underneath the flight path, but still get some of that. And then the traffic too can get a little bit weird here in Highland Park. You know, I've noticed it showing homes, you know, kind of around rush hour. But yeah, if you're trying to get back and forth between St. Paul and Minneapolis, there are bridges that go over Mississippi, but I think there's only like 2 of them.
Yeah, I take one to get here because I live in South.
For sure. So yeah, it is a little bit separated in that regard because of the river. Okay, if you're liking the vibe here, if you're liking what you've seen so far of Highland Park and you're wondering where else in the Twin Cities can I find something similar to this, let's talk for fans of. I think just getting started right away, I think the easiest one, low-hanging fruit here is Matt Groveland, just because of proximity. They do kind of, in some senses, feel one and the same because they do border each other. You know, the housing stock I think feels a lot different, but they are super close to each other. So all the stuff that you have access to in Highland Park, you probably have easy access to in Matt Groveland and vice versa.
Totally.
So for that reason, I think Matt Groveland, and you know, similar median sale price as well. I think Matt Groveland is probably a little bit higher, but very similar feel. Tree-lined streets, if you're liking, you know, what you're seeing here in terms of the beauty of this area, I think Matt Groveland's very similar. And then if you're talking Minneapolis similarities, I think the easiest one, but also the truest one, is Longfellow, right across the river. You know, similar in terms of location as well. Accessibility, not quite as much because the river separates them. But again, the feel is very same, the median sale price, you know, the entry level, or getting, you know, finding a home in your price range is going to be very similar between the two areas. One's in Minneapolis, one's in St. Paul.
I actually do a lot of work over there, and there's a lot of great places to eat in the neighborhood as well. And you've got kind of that close to the river feel. It presents a unique kind of vibe, just knowing that you can get those bluff views when you're on the parkway.
For sure. That's a good point. Yeah, if you enjoy the river parkway is on both sides. Neither one really has as much lake access as other parts of the Twin Cities, but the river is the main event in terms of water for both those spots.
So for me, two places that I think of for starters, I'll just mention them in the same breath. It's going to be St. Louis Park and Golden Valley. Reason being, I don't know, Steve, if you pan around a little bit, I mean, Highland Park, one of the reasons why I like it, and I might catch flack for this, but I like it because it does have kind of a suburban feel within the cities proper, which you really just don't get many other places. But the reason mostly why I think they feel similar to St. Louis Park and Golden Valley is the housing stock.
Yep, 50s.
A lot of 50s, just mid-century modern, mid-century modest, as I say. I mean, you won't get, Highland Park has more of a bluff type feel, a lot more undulation in the neighborhood because we are on the river valley, so those two cities don't offer that. But as far as the feel when you're in the neighborhoods, I think it's going to be very similar.
Totally. Speaking of trick-or-treatable, man, I feel like this is the perfect time of year to be taking this walk in this neighborhood.
Yeah, look at this little ghost on the light post here.
But okay, so that's for fans of. Check out those spots if you're liking what you're seeing in Highland Park, and please reach out to us if you have any questions. If you're interested in working with us, easy contact form, email info@tothetwincities.com. Reach out to us that way. You can reach out to Nick and I individually. I'm at steve@tothetwincities.com, nick@tothetwincities.com.
Hit us up.
Please hit us up. We will kill it for you, as Jesse would say. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.